Hello, welcome to today's 15-minute transformation. I'm Libby Langley and I am your holistic marketing coach, helping you today to reframe the way you think about your content, your social media and online content. So let me ask you, are you your audience's caffeine fix? This kind of came to me. I do a lot of networking out in the real world. And what I've always noticed over the years, particularly at breakfast meetings, is that people will often head straight for the coffee. Okay. You're meeting at 7 a.m. or 7:30, whatever, and people head straight for the coffee. And I've always been kind of curious about this because I'm not a coffee drinker, okay? So I don't have caffeine. I don't ever have it. I'm a peppermint tea drinker. But this way of the way the coffee machine, the way the people are drawn to that caffeine fix, that caffeine hit, first thing in the morning, has always kind of intrigued me. And once they've had a sip or two, it's like, and they just feel better. And that feeling of just feeling better is absolutely something that we want to evoke in our audience. And so thinking about attracting the right people to us who when they see your content, they immediately feel better. They immediately feel like they've had their hit. They immediately feel as if they've been understood, they've been seen, somebody gets them. It's what they need, okay? And the disconnect that often happens with marketing is that you lead content first. And the problem with leading content first is that to keep the analogy of the coffee going, you've got drinks there and they've gone cold or the coffee's been sitting around for hours, and all you're doing is just pouring more and more sugar in to try and make it better. And if you step back and think about it, you know that that's not what anybody needs. They don't need cold coffee with 15 sugars. That's not what they want. That's not going to help them. What they want and what they need is fresh insight into your world, into their world, fresh insight and understanding into themselves. And what you're trying to do with your content by not leading with content first is to make people feel a certain way. Okay, if you think of that caffeine hit, that coffee hit, then it's the feeling that you want to create and the feeling that you want to evoke. Okay, the mechanism doesn't matter, right? Your content is the coffee. Doesn't matter. The coffee itself doesn't matter. It's that's better. I feel all right now. I can tackle my day. I can do my thing. They understand me. That's what your content is delivering to people. So by thinking about the content, thinking about the coffee, thinking about the vehicle, you're actually just making things harder for yourself and making it more work for yourself, because you're thinking about creating content rather than evoking a feeling. And can you see how that is a subtle shift, yet a chasmic, is that the word? Chasmic shift in the way that you share your stuff online. And by stopping thinking about content as something that you have to create, it's on your to-do list, it's what you've got to get done, A, something massive off your plate, and B, you're actually then focusing on yourself, your business, your audience, what it is that they want to see and hear, what it is that they want to feel, okay? So you're cutting out all the mechanics, the coffee filters, switching the machines on. Nobody cares about that, okay? That's behind the scenes stuff that doesn't matter. What you're focusing on is, how can I communicate this feeling of, yes, they understand me. Okay? It's a total reframe there. And if in the content that you're sharing, you're actually teach how to, top tips the whole time, again, you're focusing on the delivery vehicle, okay? You're focusing on the literal cup of coffee rather than the feeling, because you're talking about the mechanics and the nuts and bolts there. And that's great. It's great sometimes to do that. It's great to build up a following and to offer tips to people. But actually, the way to get this feeling, this yes, they understand me, is to reframe their thinking completely, okay? Because we only think a certain way about certain things, and we're not necessarily even aware that we think that way about things until someone says, you're feeling like this. I am. How did you know that? And sometimes the way to encourage people to get under people's skin like that is actually to encourage them not to do things rather than telling them what to do. So if you're telling people what to do all the time with how-tos, with lessons, with tutorials, it's more stuff that they've got to do, right? It's just more stuff. And already they're tired. The world's a difficult place, a kind of emotionally unstable place. And by adding more stuff onto people, actually you might be repelling people because you're just adding to their plate. So by reframing things with people and saying, hey, do you know what? I understand you. And maybe if you stopped doing all those things, or some of those things, people will respond to you better, more warmly, because you're making them feel better. You're taking something off their plate. You're taking something off their shoulders. Exactly like I'm doing to you here today. I'm telling you, teaching you, reframing for you how to think about your content differently, so that you're not just thinking about it as creating content. I've got to create content. You're not thinking about it like that. You're thinking about ways you can communicate what it is that you do and what you're passionate about, and the results that you get for people, the way you make people feel. Yeah? It's a really subtle difference in the way that you put your marketing message out there. But it's the thing that will make a complete difference to you in terms of the stress levels of having to create content, and to your audience in terms of them consuming it. Because the more you make them feel that they're understood, that they're seen, that you get them, the more they're going to want to consume your content, the more they're going to want your caffeine fix. So if you think about the podcasts that you subscribe to, the blogs that you read, the people that you follow on social media, for each of those different people and different mediums, there will be a reason why you find it so engaging. And I will hazard a guess that the majority of those accounts that you really, you're not looking at them because they're competitive or anything like that. You're looking at them because they make you feel something. And I'll hazard a guess that the reason is that you feel like these people are talking your language. And you feel like these people just understand what it is that you're feeling. It's all about feelings. And particularly for women, but not exclusively for women, in the online space, we can be quite kind of isolated because work from home, do some online networking, chat to people on social media, maybe go to some physical networking events, but a lot of the time it is quite isolating. And you might have kids, you might have a family at home, so your world can become quite small. And the trouble with this is that you can become quite kind of insular in the way that you are creating your content, and it does just become another tick box exercise. Right, I've got to put my receipts into my accounting software, I've got to schedule those 3 meetings, I've got to invoice that client, I've got to create my content. And that whole disconnect with the way that you run your business, everything becomes a job, everything becomes a chore. And we've got enough blooming chore. There's always a toilet that needs cleaning in the house. There are enough chores that we have to do. And one of the beautiful things about working in business, working for yourself in business, is that you can do the things that you want to do. So this isolation that you might possibly feel sometimes, or perhaps are unaware that you feel, but it might well be there. This isolation is only exacerbated by you unknowingly making all the different elements of your business into chores. Okay? So my objective here is to help you reframe your content so that you stop thinking of having to create content, and it becomes a really beautiful, fluid, sometimes off the cuff, but there's a feeling when you're creating it, because there's something that you really, really want to say to your audience. The sentence that's going to help them, the exact words, 4 words that you can put out on your social media that's going to make them think, yes. And that's not going to be yet another how-to tutorial. It just isn't. That stuff's useful, but that's not what creates this feeling, this wanting, this you are my absolute caffeine fix and I feel seen. So your content needs to attract people, the right people. It needs to engage the right people, so they find you, they stay. Okay. And mostly it needs to provide this real connection with them, so that they really feel understood in the way that they're feeling, and they don't feel alone. Your responsibility as an online business owner is to bring together this community of disparate, isolated people in your world, and bring them all together in your community. Okay, you're controlling it, you're in charge of it, and they will then feel, by you sharing this heartfelt and I see you feel seen content, you don't need to do the how-tos or the tutorials, because they will then just know that you're the solution. They will know absolutely categorically that you are their caffeine fix. There'll be no choice when they are ready to work with a coach or a consultant or a business owner in your field. You will be the natural choice. And that's all because of you reframing the way that you think about your content. Okay? I hope that this has been a useful session for you today. 15-minute transformation for you. I talk a lot more deeply with this about my marketing in my Marketing Megastars program with my wonderful Marketing Megastars members. We have lessons just about this, in the coaching course that I do weekly in my membership program are often focused on this issue, because there's so much that you can dive into so deeply here to take things off your shoulders, off your plate, and create that wonderful, wonderful connection with your audience, who are all out there and who all need you. So if you want to find out more about Marketing Megastars, there's a link in the text here. So please click through, or DM me if you want any information. And I am going to see you next week at next week's 15-minute transformation. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure.